So, you're probably here because you want to know how to make millions of gold selling Skyreach carries. I mean, there's many of ways to make gold, but this is one of the ones that I do because if I want to make gold, I want to make a lot of it during that whole day that I'm playing. Um, so I'm going with a Dragonite right now. Any class can do this, any class at all. You can be Stamina, Magica, whatever. Each one's going to be a little bit different on their approach to this, but I'm going to show you my setup and what I think is probably one of the more easier, more chillax ways to do this. Now, if you're at least 160 CP, anyone can do this. I go with the Deadwater's Guile set, which is probably the most important for my build because I don't have access like a Nightblade to their ultimate, regenerating ultimate that would make that a little bit easier if you were a Nightblade or any other class that can do some different things. I've also done this primarily on a Magica Necromancer, so any kind of build that you can think of that can make this really easy. This is just one that I'm going to show you that's going to make it just crazy easy. Okay, so I go Deadwater's Guile. I go Vengeance Leech, which I think you can get this from PvP, but it's just, as you can see, it's really cheap on the vendor there. Roughly maybe 3K to 4K a piece on these jewelries. And not really needed, even though I have it, is normal Dragonstar Arena, Titanic Cleave, and I'm just using a blue backhand. As far as my monster set, I am using Belorgs, but you can put anything here. This is just to add extra DPS. It doesn't really matter. As long as you have Deadwater's Guile, and make sure that in the Fighters Guild, if you are wanting to do this for gold, make sure that you have at least this maxed out so that every time you kill the undead in here, you're also getting ultimate as well. Basically, your goal in here is to kill everything as fast as possible for your client so that they can power level, and in return you get gold for running them, right? So anything that increases DPS and also keeps you pretty tanky while you're trying to basically run this person through, anything helps out. So my build, I'm just using a Dragonite, which not really, a lot of people don't really think about it because I just like it because it's easy. And when I'm saying it's easy, it's easy. But I'm wanting everyone to be able to do Skyreach carries, so there's different builds, different everything. So let's say you're 160 CP and you're not really that tanky right now. Well, you can always become a vampire. Vampire is really easy on the ultimate because as long as you're skilling this up, 15% of all the damage you deal heals you. So it's just going to be like the ring that's going to be coming out here in the next DLC. Builds in Skyreach will completely change once that ring is out. But yeah, you can use Swarming Scion if you want to, build up your ultimate really quickly, put that out. You know, you can go a little bit slower, it doesn't matter. If you're wanting to go super, super fast and get better and better, yes, you can charge more. So I would say someone starting out that's 160 CP, they should price range their stuff accordingly. But you can still make a ton of gold doing this. I will say in a single setting of setting someone from level 1 to 50, I have at the end of that day made 1 million gold. I never knew anything about this, and here's the story of it. When I was a noob, I went to Craiglorn because I figured that's where people do the trials. I looked it up, and then I saw a bunch of people were wanting to buy these so-called Skyreach runs. So I did my research, and I found out that this is where people power level. So the added benefit of this, you're making gold, you're getting CP levels for yourself, and it's just, I mean, it's kind of fun once you get the easy part down. So I'm going to go ahead and give you an example while I'm doing this. And I'm going to show you what it looks like to do a full rotational run of Skyreach. Alright, so let's see that rotational. So pretty much, I'm just going to go ahead and round them up. There's about 3 places you got to round things up at. Of course, my first run's always going to be a little bit slower because I'm just getting into the hang of the runs. But it's really simple stuff. Just make sure you always get all the adds. And you will get stunned and stuff, so make sure you break out. Be mindful for rangers because they will make your day. And this is pretty much where I get really powerful. If everything goes right. As you can see, I already have a few. All I'm doing, pretty much, rather than spamming my brawler is, well, everything's dead. But all I'm doing is spamming brawler pretty much, and just spamming my ultimate, and that's pretty much all you have to do for this build. It's one of the easiest builds I've ever made. If you want to be even faster, you can on, say, Magicka, Necromancer, or any, okay. Don't aggro these guys, because, yeah, you'll die. They're just not worth fighting. But we'll get to the second one here in a minute. Alright, so on this one, you can stealth like I'm doing here, but we're wanting to get the chest and then try to grab everything in this room while we're doing it, so we're saving a little bit of time. This is more advanced. You can go slower, of course, depending on what your client wants. So we're just going around, rounding everything up like we did before. And we're just spamming brawler. Now again, if you are lower CP, I would suggest going Vampire if you're a class that doesn't have a lot of tankiness. Just for the fact that you can be in Vampire form at all times on a stamina character, or you can also use Deadwater's Gal for, say, rings and Inferno Staff. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But again, we're just literally spamming 2 buttons. Nothing serious here is being done. Again, you don't need bar largs, even though it's helpful, because you're keeping that up at all times too, pretty much. But you don't need that stuff. You could use Grofdar or really any weapon or monster set you want, as long as you have a build that can generate a lot of ultimate. It's just really easy on this build. Another one that's really easy is the Nightblade Magicka. They're just super fast. And you can continue to improve builds. I mean, there's always new builds coming out for Skyreach. If you're like me, I'm trying to stay ahead of the game, or if you've done so many runs, you want one that's just really easy to just sit there and, you know, spam a couple buttons here and there. Not really have to worry about a lot other than breaking free from things. So what I'm doing on this one is I'm going to take it to this corner over here. Also be mindful though, when you do this, because all we're wanting to do here is just use a lot of AoE, kill stuff as quick as possible, so that we get runs quick as possible, so we can make gold fast as possible. And the benefit of, well, getting CP levels too. Now, as you can tell, I'm just pretty much just not really even worrying about anything, because this is one of these easier builds that anyone can do it as long as you have Brawler for a two-hander and can spam your ultimate. That Vengeance Leech set really helps out. Even critters will trigger that, which is really nice.